If you're new to buy now, pay later services, you may be wondering about how Klarna works as a financing option. This review will cover key information, including questions like how does Klarna work, where it can be used, credit score impacts, and the pros and cons of using it. As long as you make your payments on time, Klarna can offer a smart way to spread the cost of buying items you need. All you need to do is download the app and link your debit card or one of your credit cards to get started. However, as with all forms of credit, there are risks and penalties if you don't keep up with your payment plan. If you make purchases with Pay in 4, you'll be able to split the cost of your transaction into 4 equal payments, which you repay over time. All you have to do is link your chosen credit or debit card, and the repayments will be deducted according to the Pay in 4 payment plan. The first repayment, which is 25% of the cost of transaction, will be made on the day of purchase, or the day of shipping in some cases when you shop online. The subsequent repayments are scheduled every 2 weeks or every 15 days if you're a California resident. There's no interest to pay on the transaction amount. This may make it more affordable to buy items you need by splitting the upfront costs into smaller segments. But it's important to note that there are additional costs to consider as follows. First, the late repayment fee. If your repayment is 10 days or more late, Klarna will ask a fee of $7. However, this will not exceed 25% of the repayment due. Next is a returned item fee, which is $25. And then potentially there's your own bank fees, but this is outside of the control of Klarna. And then finally, if you do not repay the full amount borrowed to Klarna, you may go into default. In this case, you authorize Klarna to use debt collectors to retrieve the amount owed from you. Now, using Klarna's Pay in 30 options lets you make purchases and then pay 30 days later. Basically, Klarna will make an advance to the merchant to pay for your items. 30 days later, Klarna will send you a digital invoice which you have to pay to cover the cost of the transaction. There are no interest charges or fees to pay as long as you repay the amount on the date specified. However, if you fail to make the repayment on time, you'll pay a late fee of up to $27. This fee will not exceed the amount you owe. In the event that you go into default by missing repayments entirely, you'll not be able to use the Klarna service again, and your debt will be passed to a debt collection agency. You can expect to hear directly from the debt collectors about how they reclaim the money, and the details may also be passed to credit bureaus, which isn't good news. Klarna also offers longer-term financing through its partnership with WebBank. You'll need to sign a credit agreement to access this option, and agree to a payment plan which includes interest repayments. There are also other potential fees that you'll want to know about. The first one is if you don't pay off your total balance in a given period, you'll pay 19.99% on the balance of standard purchases. Next is a late repayment fee if it's over 10 days due. Klarna will apply a fee of up to $35. And then there's a returned item fee, which is up to $35 as well. As with the other Klarna options, you do risk going into default if you stop making repayments entirely. In this case, your details will be passed onto the debt collectors to retrieve this money. Okay, so where and how can I use Klarna? As long as you shop responsibly, using Klarna can be a great way to spread the cost of your purchases in person or online. You may also be worried about how Klarna affects your credit score. The instant approval process Klarna offers, known as a soft credit check, doesn't have any impact on your credit score. That means that applying for the Pay in 4 or Pay in 30 services won't make any difference to your credit record. If you're applying for financing, the credit check is known as a hard check, which means it'll be reported to credit bureaus and will show as an inquiry on your record. It's important to note that even with Pay in 4 and Pay in 30, you may run into credit issues if you are late in making repayments or go into default. Klarna's terms and conditions to allow them to notify credit bureaus and call out the debt collectors in this situation. So please keep on top of your payments to avoid any potential issues down the line. Okay, so what about some pros and cons? First up, with the good news, delay or spread your cost of your purchases. So if you choose to Pay in 4 or Pay in 30, you don't need to pay any interest as long as you repay on time. Next, credit checking for the Pay in 4 and Pay in 30 service won't impact your credit score, and you can access Klarna user content and exclusive deals through the app. Now, some of the cons include late fees, and defaulting will result in your case being passed to debt collectors. Now, unfortunately, you can only make purchases in the US, and making on-time payments won't be reported to credit bureaus, so you won't actually improve your credit score by using Klarna.